Hi guys. Um, I just put um a sermon by this same title up on Facebook, and in the sermon I kept on saying it's called Storytime Sunday. It's called Storytime Sunday, but it's not called Storytime Sunday. It's called Falsely Free. Now, if you wanna see the sermon, uh, just go to my Facebook page, Rachel Esdale, and friend me, and you can see it right there. It's right up top. Um, Now, as I promised on my Facebook page that I would actually do a story, that's what I'm doing it now. If I'm doing it now. The story is also called Falsely Free. The story Falsely Free is about the Evans family. Um, the Evans family consists of Chris Evans, Yona Evans, who have been married for 25 years, their 23-year-old daughter, Tori Evans, and their 19-year-old, not 19-year-old son, their little surprise, um, their 12-year-old son, um, Matthew. So, um, so Yona Evans is um, a, 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 a buyer for a vitamin company, and also she works with the youth at their church. So, as a buyer for a vitamin company, she is responsible for working with the vitamin company to buy and select the product, and um, basically to buy it and to get it in the store. So she's kind of a liaison between her company, which um, produces the vitamins, and the store and different stores. So her company is going through some restructuring. So her boss has a meeting with everyone in the company and says that because of the restructuring, um, the company usually is Monday to Friday, but because of the restructuring, they could be asked to work on weekends and stuff. So, along with some other changes that are going on with the company while it is being restructured. So, and she talks to her boss and says, I will work overtime. I will work on Saturdays, but could I please have Sundays off to spend with my family and to go to church? And um, she says, well, okay, we are still a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday company, but the weekends, because we're restructuring, uh, will be just for now, and we'll go back to it. But G said, but don't worry, you won't have to work on Sunday, because I know how much your family is important to you, and I know how much your religion is important to you. Don't worry about it. And she's like, okay. And there's a But in 2 weeks, there the a report that they have to get ready for a a store has to be done, but the lady that was supposed to do it is sick. So what happens is Yona, her boss begs her to, I know you don't work on Sundays. This is just, um, this, I'm in a real bind. The people are coming tomorrow. And, and the woman who was supposed to do it can't do it because she's really sick. And she only called me today to say she was really sick. If you called me yesterday, I would have asked you to do it yesterday. And Yona, against her better judgment, said, yeah, sure, I'll do it just one Sunday. And and yeah, I'll do it just one Sunday. And and then she did it. She didn't go to church. She didn't even read her Bible, read her word. She was so focused on getting this done for her boss because she was always, she's been always trying to uh, get in her boss's good graces. So she figured this would be a way to do it. Um, so So she finished her report, sent it to her boss, and her boss was so pleased with it, and the store buyers were pleased with how she put it together and how her her detail, her attention to what was going on, her attention to what would look good in the store. The boss was so pleased that she said, I'm so pleased with you. The next time I need something done, I know who to call. And from that time forward, um, her, her boss didn't even ask the other person. She always asked Jonah. And um, so it turned out from it started off only working occasional Sundays to doing one of those reports every week, and she would kill it every week, but it would be at the expense of her church time. And in the middle, not only her church time on Sunday, but her getting into her word and her like time with God. It just took up all this time, all these reports she was writing for her boss. And um, her son, her her little surprise, her son, um, he wanted to join a soccer league, but the only soccer league in their neighborhood, they played on weekends. And she would have said no in the past, but because she was always working on Sunday and the kids were always bored because they weren't even going to church, um, she said yes. So not only was she working on Sundays, but but her son started playing soccer on Sundays, and the family just And because his wife was working on Sunday, her husband, Chris, was like, okay, if you're working on Sundays, I'm going to take extra shifts too. So Chris started picking up extra shifts on the weekend as well. And it was not only picking up extra shifts, and because it's not the shifts picking up that were the problem, but the more shifts they pick up and the more they worked and the more the son played soccer, was the more that they slowly begin to drift from God, because it's not really going to church that makes you a Christian, or it's not really participating in church online that makes you a Christian. It's what you do during the week in your daily life. But if church for me is like an anchor, like it anchors me. Like once a week, I get to um, worship and uh, online fellowship with other believers, and it anchors me. And without that, I become adrift. And this is what happened to this family. They both started working, and the kids started going to soccer. Their son started going to soccer, and their 23-year-old daughter, while she was away at college, she was always like a, a wildflower. Nobody really asked her out, and she was really just not the kind of person that guys asked out. And um she was very like quiet and kind of thick glasses, and kind of didn't have many friends, wasn't very social. Had her head in the books, and then one of the um, hottest guys in the dorm, he he needed help with her um, with his math homework. He was failing math, and he needed help because without that he'd be kicked off the team and he would lose his scholarship. So she started and she started tutoring him. And before this, she was a committed Christian, always um, going to her campus church services, and her, always talking to her Christian friends online, and always communicating with her parents. Um, and when this guy asked her to tutor him, she was so like, she couldn't believe that he asked her to tutor him because he was so good looking, and she thought of herself as plain. And sometimes when a girl thinks of herself as plain, she she gets an attention from a good looking guy, all her faculties in her head go out the window. So um, they started studying together, and he started uh, spending time with her because they started tutoring together. But instead of and she and then there was this one time where he kissed her, and it was really just the hottest kiss she'd ever received, and her spiritual bells were really going off. And and the Lord said, "Don't do this, back away." And the spiritual bells were real, and whistles were really going off. And they'd been going off for a while, but when he kissed her, it was really like danger, danger, like a flashing sign. But she ignored it. She said, "No, I can handle it." And then they were in her dorm room one night, and he um started to kiss her, and she knew that it was wrong, but like like she got carried away, and so she slept with him for the first time. She lost her virginity to him for the first time, and then she's like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" and all that stuff. So while their daughter was going through this, her son was playing every Sunday in soccer and all of that. And like the family was starting to erode, not because they didn't attend church, but they didn't keep their relationship up with God. So they started to get mad at each other, really snap at each other. Uh, and when she would call home to her parents, she would feel so guilty that just withdrew, and they would say, "Is everything fine, honey?" And she would say, "Yeah, everything's fine." But because her parents were so busy working that they didn't realize the tone. They didn't realize what was going on. They didn't realize the price that they were paying. And so when she slept, and after their daughter, let's call her, I think I called her Tara. After Tara made that awful mistake with the quarterback, she told uh, uh one her Christian uh, one of her Christian uh, sisters online what she did, because she felt so bad and she needed to talk about it. And that Christian sister um, ha- had a little problem with gossip. They um, she and that Christian sister would talk about other people, just light things, not really heavy things. And then they always said, "You wouldn't talk about me, right?" And they both said, "No, I wouldn't. You're my friend. I just talk about her because um, she's not my friend at all, and what she did was wrong." So, she told that one she told her Christian friend what she did, that she slept with this guy, and the Christian friend tried to keep it quiet, but and she said, "Maybe I should get the prayer groups to pray for her." But she knew she wasn't telling them for prayer, she was telling them for gossip. So when she told them in the guise of, "We need to pray for we need to pray for Tara. She made this awful mistake with this guy." It all went around the school, and Tara didn't know that everybody knew, so people were talking about her behind her back, and the small little Christian club that were Christians didn't want to be with her anymore, and plus, and everything was a mess. Her mother and father were snapping at each other, and it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse until like the fighting and the brother was fighting because he started off doing in soccer really well, but it started to affect his concentration, just not having, not being in kids ministry anymore started to affect his spiritual life. And then one day, her she was writing, Yona, the mom, was writing one of those reports that she was famous for doing, and she was um, she was writing one of those reports that she was famous for doing on a Sunday, and she started to cry because she started to think of what happened with her, what happened with her son. That morning, her daughter came and told her what she had done. Um, her and her husband, what she had done, and her daughter's life was a mess, and her son's life was a mess because he wasn't doing good at soccer anymore. And she's like, Lord, what do I do? My family's a mess. And the Lord's, and she was crying, and she's like, Lord, what do I do? Um, she's like, he's like, put me at the center of everything. Stop carrying this. What you, he also said, stop carrying this alone. What you thought was free wasn't free at all. You had you had to pay for your family. You had to pay your integrity. You had to pay your relationship with me. He said, get things right. So she, the next day, she had a family meeting with her family, with her husband, with her son, and her daughter joined on Skype. And she said, listen, for the past few months, we've put we've slowly put God at the bottom of the list. And he said, we need to put him back in his place. We need to put him back in the center of this family because we're falling apart. We can't do this anymore. He said, they said, what we thought was free, what we thought was one time, was a time we end up paying for. And he's like, and she's like, we can't do this anymore. It's tearing our family apart. And they as a family, um, together, first they asked for forgiveness and agree to put God in his proper place. So what she did was go into her boss and say, um, look, I, I'll, I will do almost anything for you to help with this restructuring, but I need Sundays off for my family. If I can't get them off, then I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave my job. And so her boss says, I understand, because although although your reports for companies are still good, I can see your personality slipping. I can see that you need um, that time with your family, and you need that time um, for to spend with your family and for religious reasons. And I need you to be as productive at work as you can be. And if this Sunday thing is as important to you as it is, and if this will cause you to bring your work level up, I will do that. And then she walked out of her office and said, "Thank you, Lord." Because she was so afraid that her boss wouldn't understand, because her boss is an atheist, but um, she prayed before the meeting, "God, be with me," and it turned out the Lord was with her. And when her husband went to her boss, went to his boss and said, "I can no longer do country. I can no longer work on Sundays." His boss says, "I'm sorry, that's the new policy of the company. Everybody has to take one Saturday and one Sunday." And he says, "Well, I'm sorry then. I've got to, leave." And and then from from the moment he resigned, he was like, "What am I gonna do? We can't survive on just one income." And then 2 weeks later, he got one of his friends was starting his own uh, construction business, and his friend was also a Christian. So his friend, he was talking to his friend about what happened, and um, he was like, "I'm sure God will make a way. I'm sure God will have something for me." And his friend was telling him, "You know what? I'm starting my own business and I need a partner. Would you like to partner with me?" He said, "It's not as much money as it would be at your other place, but you wouldn't have to work Sundays, because I don't want work Sundays either." And he says, "Yeah, I would love to partner with you. Thanks." And through the years, his friend was able to pay him more than he'd received originally. And with their daughter, um, the girl who spread the rumor about their daughter came to their daughter and said, I'm so sorry. I I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to destroy our friendship. The Lord's been really working on me about my tongue, and I've been looking at James, and I've been working on gossiping. I've been working on not gossiping. Would you please forgive me?" And her daughter forgave the girl who started the gossip, and slowly but surely they were friends again. And they actually started something in their school for people that like to gossip, so they could be accountable. And um, they were really giving tools for people who like to gossip, and not maliciously gossip, but it started for her just as a meaningless thing, and then it turned into something big, and it wrecked a friendship. So they were teaching other people tools, other students tools about how to not gossip and how to help people um, that fall into sin, or how to restore them and be there for them. And they were teaching them the tools that they learned. So out of what wrecked the friendship came a ministry that was restoring people and healing people that had been hurt from gossip. It was dealing with the ministry of reconciliation. It they even helped put together friendships that were hurt by gossip, and it was called Tongues of Love, which they um, which which they were using their tongues for love and not maliciousness, or to spread hate or garbage around, but to spread love and to uplift. And the ministry was so good on the campus that it spread to other universities, because they the friends were telling other people what they did, and those other people wanted it at their university, so they began to travel and teach other people how to start things at their universities. And it it went from universities to high schools, because one of the um, um, girls that went to their meetings had a sister in high school, and she told her sister what had happened. So the sister wanted them to come to her high school to teach tools about how to not gossip, how to li- uplift and love. And Tongues of Love became a ministry of restoration and a ministry of reconciliation for their community, both for high schools and universities. And um, everything that was taken away from the Evans family was actually restored. Um, One of the other soccer moms was so pleased with what the son was doing, that he wanted she she wanted her son to come to church with him. So it started, the whole soccer team got saved, because when the when the Evans family started putting God in his proper place again, the 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 son really started treating people with love and respect and compassion, and started operating with excellence that he had never before. And that really drew people into him and not away from him. Because when he was away from God, he was getting all cocky and all that stuff, and nobody wanted to be around him. But when his family, um, and in turn he, decided to put God first, it started to change around, and he got the whole um, hockey team saved. So the Lord would ask today, is it worth what you're paying? Is it worth what you're paying? That's what the Lord would ask. The Lord said to me, weigh the risk. Weigh the risk. Is what you're paying for this too high? He said, weigh the risk. Thanks. Have a great day.